You ever have one of those mornings where you wake up thinking it's just another ordinary day? Coffee in hand, birds doing their thing, and then out of nowhere you get smacked in the face with something so wild, so totally out of left field that you can't even process it. That was me standing there on my back porch, September air still sharp in my lungs when the earth started rumbling. I'm not talking about thunder or a distant train, I mean the kind of rumble that shakes your bones. I wandered over the ridge to check it out, not expecting much, and that's when my whole world spun sideways. 3 giant yellow bulldozers were carving up the east end of my family's land, the same 80 acres that's been in the Harrington family for over a century, like it was just another blank page for someone else's story. Surveyors were dropping neon stakes in perfect rows. I felt this chill run through me, like, you know when you realize you just walked into the middle of a bad joke and you're the punchline. I spotted this woman dressed way too nice for a construction site Navy suit. Hair pulled so tight you'd think she was on her way to a board meeting, not a dirt lot. I hustled over hard in my throat. "Excuse me," I called out, trying to sound a lot braver than I felt. "What exactly is happening on my land right now?" She didn't even blink, gave me one of those, "Please go away, you peasant" looks, and said, "This isn't your land, sir. This parcel was approved for development by Westview Estates. We have all the necessary permits." Yeah, that happened. I tried to hold it together, but my voice was already shaking. "Ma'am, my name's Michael Harrington. This property's been in my family for generations. There's got to be a mistake." She barely smiled, whipped out her tablet, and said, "Mr. Harrington, I'm Jessica Mills, Executive Director for Westview HOA Development. According to county records, this eastern section was classified as abandoned. We've followed all legal requirements for our Oak Ridge expansion." She spun her screen around, showed me some digital survey map that magically carved off almost 30 acres from my family's land. I swear my stomach dropped straight through the dirt. "This is impossible," I said, digging for any scrap of authority I could muster. "I have the original deed at home. This has always been Harrington land." She gave me a look colder than a Minnesota winter. "Well, our paperwork says otherwise. If you have concerns, contact our legal department. But I'll warn you, we've got a team of 15 property attorneys. This development is moving forward." And just like that, she was gone, her heels clicking across my future like it was already theirs. What Jessica didn't know, what no one there knew, was that she'd just set off a tripwire my great-grandfather planted nearly 100 years ago. See my great-grandpa James? That man didn't trust anyone, especially not suits with big plans and deeper pockets. He'd worked 3 jobs just to buy this land back in 1920, and he made damn sure no one could steal it out from under us. But standing there watching those machines tear up the past, I felt pretty helpless. For 3 days, I made calls, county assessor, building inspector, even a handful of lawyers. Every door slammed in my face. Boundary lines were adjusted in last year's survey. Notices were sent out, maybe your mail got lost. All permits in order, Mr. Harrington. If you've got a problem, hire a surveyor. Westview. Their legal team will eat you alive. You're looking at years of litigation and a mountain of legal fees with no guarantees. Meanwhile, every day more foundations, poured frames, shot up like weeds after rain. Jessica would see me standing at the edge, hands shoved in my pockets, and she'd actually wave like this was her victory lap. "You're wasting your time, Mr. Harrington," she called out one morning, all smug. "Our first homeowners are moving in soon. This is happening whether you like it or not." And I'll be honest, I almost gave up right there. But you know how sometimes, right? When you're about to quit, your brain drags up something you didn't know you needed. My dad years ago telling me how Grandpa James built in special protections on the deed. He was paranoid, Dad said. He thought someone had tried to steal this land. That night, I dug through our old oak chest, found the deed yellowed stiff with age, but whole. I started reading, squinting through legalese that sounded like it was written on a typewriter by candlelight. Took 3 hours and 2 strong coffees, but I found it a little paragraph buried in the description. Should any entity construct improvements upon this land without the deed holder's express written consent, Said improvements shall become the sole property of the landowner with no compensation due. My hands shook. I read it again and again. I called Thomas Green, this old property lawyer who was a friend of my dad's guys, sharp as a tack, still wears those ugly brown loafers. He read the clause, then looked at me like he'd just found the Hope Diamond in a shoebox. Michael, this is extraordinary. This provision's airtight, properly recorded, and still binding. Anything built on your land without your permission, it's legally yours the moment it's built. So I should tell them to stop, right? I asked, my heart hammering. Thomas just grinned. You could. But if you wait, the more they build, the more they lose. I caught on quick. If I wait until they finish, I own everything they built. All 156 homes. He nodded. Exactly. It'll be the biggest, most expensive mistake in Westview's history. That night, for the first time since this all started, I actually smiled. Out on my porch, watching the construction lights twinkle, I realized Jessica thought she was building a fancy new neighborhood. Really, she was building my retirement plan house by house. The next 2 months. Man, you want to talk about weird. Every morning my alarm was bulldozers and backhoes, not birds. The land that used to be a quiet field for family picnics was now a full-blown construction zone. Just for good measure, I hired 2 more lawyers to double-check everything. Both agreed Great-Grandpa's trap was still legal, still active. A brilliant legal time bomb, one of them called it. I got meticulous, bought a fancy camera, took daily pictures, logged every single thing, date, time, who was there, what was built. Even paid for a fresh survey that confirmed our original property lines just in case. Westview wasn't just building houses, they were paving roads, running utilities, turning raw land into a whole little town. By November, 30 homes finished, 50 more underway, and for sale signs popping up everywhere with prices that made my head spin. One afternoon, I saw Jessica giving a tour to a young couple. She waved me over, all fake friendly. Mr. Harrington, come meet the Millers. They're buying the Colonial on Oakwood Drive. Isn't it beautiful? The couple smiled, looking at me like I might be the crazy neighbor they'd have to deal with someday. Very nice, I said, nodding, and walked away. But that night, I tossed and turned. These were real people, families moving in, kids playing in yards my family had called home for generations. I called Thomas. Do I let this keep going, knowing innocent families are about to be caught in the middle? Thomas was quiet. It's a moral question, Michael. Legally, Westview is the one hurting them, not you. If you step in now, Westview shrugs it off as a small loss and keeps doing this to other people. But if you let the mistake get big enough, maybe they'll finally learn. Sometimes the best lesson hurts the most. That hit me. Hard. By Christmas, the first families had moved in, houses, decorated, kids, making snowmen the whole picture-perfect postcard. Local paper ran a story, Oak Ridge grand opening, all Phase 1 homes sold, Jessica grinning in the photo, holding those comically big scissors. By then, I'd made up my mind. I'd wait until all 156 homes were finished, sold, and filled. Westview needed to feel this in their bones, so nobody else would ever try this again. As the months dragged on, I started prepping, researching property management, figuring out if I'd rent out the houses or sell them. The whole neighborhood would be mine. Wild thought, right? I kept my mouth shut, kept documenting, and watched them dig their own grave, one luxury home at a time. Come April, the community was finished. Clubhouse with a pool, tennis courts, perfect landscaping, the kind of place folks dream about. Property values already up 15%. May 15th was the big ribbon cutting, and Westview went all out, white tents, champagne, the mayor, local news, you name it. I showed up in my best suit, carrying the original deed and all my documentation, hands shaking just a little. I stayed at the back as Jessica did her thing speech about community progress, turning unused land into homes for families. Then just as they're about to cut the ribbon, I stepped forward. Before you cut that ribbon, there's something everyone here needs to know. Jessica's face flipped through about 6 emotions in 5 seconds. Mr. Harrington. This isn't the place I ignored her. My name is Michael Harrington. This land's been in my family for over 100 years. Westview built this entire development without our permission. And thanks to a provision in our deed, every home here, including this clubhouse, now legally belongs to me. I held up the old deed for everyone to see. It was chaos. Reporters scribbling, homeowners freaking out, officials muttering. Westview's general counsel pushed through, read the clause, and paled. "Jessica, we need to end this event, now." The mayor called for calm, promised to look into it. Jessica cornered me as the crowd scattered. "You knew all along. You watched us build. Why didn't you say anything?" I just looked at her. "I told you on day one you dismissed me, said, 'Fight your attorneys.' So I let my great-grandfather handle it." She tried to bluff. "We'll contest this." But her voice was all nerves. Thomas stepped up calm as ever. "3 legal opinions confirm this. But sure, go ahead, try explaining it to all the homeowners you duped." The next day, the story blew up. TV trucks lined the street headlines everywhere. Developers' nightmare whole neighborhood built on private land. My phone never stopped ringing. By week's end, Westview was at the table desperate. First offer market value of the land plus a little extra. Next, a bit more. Finally, $20 million to make it go away. I just smiled. "Nope. We want full retail value for every home and amenity minus a bulk discount. That's over $60 million. Jessica snapped. "That'll destroy us." I shrugged. "You built on my land, sold homes you had no right to sell. Now you want a discount." Someone piped up. But the homeowners, and honestly, that was my biggest worry. I told them, nobody's losing their home. I won't punish innocent people for corporate greed. After hours of back and forth, we settled at $48 million. Westview cleared the deeds, issued a public apology, and had to sell off assets to pay. Jessica was forced out, a bunch of board members resigned, and me. Well, my life flipped upside down. I used the money to start the Harrington Family Foundation, built affordable homes, opened the clubhouse to the whole community, not just Oak Ridge folks. The pool hosts senior swim hours, tennis courts are free for kids who can't afford lessons, and I sold most of the leftover homes at cost to teachers, nurses, firefighters, people who deserved a break. I even kept a few rentals for families down on their luck. Funny thing, I kinda became the unofficial mayor of Oak Ridge. Folks got over the shock, and now we host block parties at Harrington Clubhouse. Sometimes I'll stand on that same ridge, remembering my great-grandfather's scribbled notes. Land is legacy. Protect it, not just from today's threats, but tomorrow's too. That land he fought so hard to keep safe. It's a community now built by accident, shaped by 100 years of stubborn, sometimes paranoid, but ultimately hopeful Harringtons. So here's the kicker. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying your enemy, but turning their greed into something that actually matters for people who deserve it. Sometimes patience isn't just about waiting for justice, but waiting for your chance to do something better than you ever imagined. But hey, don't just take my word for it. Let's hear your thoughts. Did justice win out, or was this all just a lucky break? Drop your take in the comments. What would you have done? Where's the line between right, wrong, and making sure history doesn't repeat itself?